Can't make this crap up. You can't make this shit up. Part 71 to 80. I like them. I don't think you people realize to what extent that the President of the United States took upon himself in a matter of days, not even having any type of oversight with, believe it or not, we have a committee, historical committee that handles, because this is a historical property, historical site, to go in and demolish the entire East Wing. Now you're going to say, well, the other presidents went in and built up, which is true, which I'm not saying that I agree with it, putting in a bowling alley or making a movie theater part of the, but they didn't totally demolish a portion and then just, decided to put in an illy-willy ornate ballroom with a bunker. It's going to be underneath. It sounds a little bit like history. The reality of it is it should have been at least methodically going through a process with, the committees and then reviewed by Congress. And obviously with the historical committees, they would have said, listen, we don't want this piece of information. We want it preserved. But, he just totally demolished it. And then decided, I'm going on a trip. I'm going to go do the YMCA in Malaysia, all the way to China, Japan, with no regard. I mean, no regard not only to that, but, and I digress to say $300 million. First you started with $100 million. I saw it. Then you went to 200. Then you went to 300. Sounds like you and Pam Bondi have a real big problem with numbers. And you get all these donors like Lockheed Martin, and who wants them on the list for $10 million? That, by the way, they pledged. That doesn't mean they have to give it up immediately for the rest of, to build this ballroom. They can do it all the way up until 2027 and put them in installments, which means they don't even have to finish paying for this. They're pledging money. Palantir. There is a lot of questionable institutions between technology, banking institutions, that are part of this whole process of building. They've got all this money to build a ballroom so they can put plaques on there, and then they can own another piece of us. Think about it this way. Lockheed Martin only became Lockheed Martin because they got federal money from us to build their business. Our money, our taxpayers' money. And then they throw us $10 million. Like, wow, so we're so lucky. Not. It's the same thing that happened with Timothy Mellon, who gave $130 million approximately to pay for the military. It cost billions of dollars, billions to keep, over $600 billion to keep our military going. That's just a drop in the hat. And then we find out that his dada, Paul Mellon, is on the flight list with Epstein. Yeah, it's not interesting. And there was some lawsuit, I guess, with dada, Paul Mellon. You have to know a lot about the Mellon banking institution, the wherewithal that has been around since 1869. Yeah, the Mellon BNY banking, which is, we're talking money like over $44 billion. This is a huge, how do I say it? A huge established institution with a lot of Nepo babies, like little Timothy. So, and then you've got all these people that are talking about we have to make these real deep sacrifices for long-term gain. We can't afford it. We can't. People are suffering and have been. And they're not making any sacrifices. Scott Bessent talked about he also, owns soybean farms. No, he's a landlord. He doesn't own soybean farms. He goes to his tenants and collects rent from them, okay, from soybean farmers. So he's full of shit. Then you got Lufnick. We already know. Lufnick, by the way, is one of the donors to the big, he didn't give too much, cheap POS. The one that said his mother-in-law would never miss her Social Security check. And if she did, then, the only thieves ask, where's my Social Security check? She would go, oh, no big deal. These people are the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst. They just don't like the commoner. Just ask Stephen Miller, who's got it out for just about everybody. Starts with one group and then he's going to work his way all the way down. I told you that kid must have been thrown into lockers when he was a little kid because he seems like he's a rotten apple, like the rest of them. Here is the President of the United States. We're in a crisis. He could not wait to go and do a project to build a ballroom. Hister. Sounds so familiar to Hister. and take care of that, and realizing that as the 1st of November, people are not going to be able to get food assistance, and that's not just your people, the ones that go through your head. There are federal workers that are working without pay, and they're blaming the Democrats. Thune, Senator Thune, you just refuse to use the nuclear option to open up the government. All for politics, that are willing to have people go food deprived. Children, federal workers and their families, elderly people. The average SNAP benefit for an elderly person is like $25. I mean, you are disgusting. You are totally, you make me putrid and disgusting. And you people back these people. Why? Because you like to see people suffer? But here's the thing you should know. As he's going off, and they're making a mockery out of him. This is my papa. There he is. There's my Harley. Mwah, mwah. You should be well aware that he has to come back, and he has to face the music. Instead of him trying to be a mediator between the Democrats and Republicans, he's just shooting orders from a distance like a lobster. That's all.